Are you presently thinking about homeschooling or unschooling for your child? And are you wondering which one is the right one for your child? Then stay tuned, because in this video I'd like to explain a little bit the difference between the two and how to approach the two. My name is Marion Hofgartner. I'm an educationalist. And with my experience of more than 20 years in child and adult education, I'd like to help you as a parent and a teacher to guide children to manifest their full potential, because I believe that is one of the things we have to do as educators and parents. Today, the topic I'd like to speak to you is about homeschooling and unschooling. Maybe you have heard the terms, maybe you're a little bit confused about the terms, maybe you read already a lot of it, and maybe you're wondering what to do, especially now in this time of a pandemic where we don't know how it will go on with the schooling, especially in the preschool and the primary school section. We're really also wondering how to go about. And then there are many parents at the present moment wondering how much digital media is really good and what is too much, and especially also, is this the right way how children should learn in the early years? If you would like to know about the digital media and how much and what is good, then please subscribe to this channel, because in the future, next week already, we'll release a video on that, what is recommended from the viewpoint of our experience. Today, let's focus on the difference between unschooling and homeschooling. Let's start with the idea of unschooling, which is younger than the idea of homeschooling. So when we look at it, unschooling, it is a natural child project. So the idea of people who do unschooling is that they want the children to learn naturally, to not have a systematized learning structure. We could say that the idea of unschooling was born by parents, adults, but also educators and teachers questioning the present education system and wondering if this is really a system they want to provide to their children or which they want to work in. And so this is when they decided that most of or many of the structures in the present educational system, school, is not really working with the brain development of the children. It's also not working with what they want for their child. So this is when they came back to unschooling. It is also a big part of the project of the alternative movement that we are at the present moment facing, where people are going organic, fair trade, they are very much into socialism. There are a lot on the topic of everyone should be treated equal diversity, all of these topics, and then also that you should allow children to develop naturally without pointing towards them a system of competition and a system of actually competing with the others and grades and marks and all of this, and also the content which is taught. They are not very happy with the content. They say lots of the things you never need in life, so children shouldn't learn it in the beginning if they are not interested in. So that is something how the unschooling movement came into place. So let's look at it, what else it has. Secondly, it's called an informal learning process. The informal learning process is that which is not structured. So the child is a lot responsible for the outcome of their learning. So they can learn what they want, when they want, how they want. They study especially through tasks which they do. They are actively doing things. They're working with clay, they are gardening, they are responsible for some household skills. What we can see in the system of unschooling is that children are becoming very self-responsible, and what we also can see is that they know a lot about what's going on in the daily life, because they are part of the daily life, and they are also discussing a lot with the parents. The parents are giving them lots of information on what and how things, what kind of things are there, how they work. What we can see also in the system of this unschooling is that they are very much questioning the curriculum, and all of this questioning is also a part of the system. Means the children are very much questioning why shall I learn this, why is it important for me, and if they understand, they will do it or if only they want to do it. So in the process of unschooling, we have to understand that the parent or the adult becomes very passive. So means they are not actively interacting when it comes to schooling. They are not directing. They are not asking a child to learn this and that and this and that. That goes back to the idea of the natural child approach. So whatever becomes interesting for the child, they should learn. And when time moves, they will become interested in different things. So there's this example of a young man. At the age of 18, he became very interested in learning one language he didn't know. So he bought all of the recording CDs and all of the stuff to learn this language. And so that was the right moment. While maybe at the age of 6, when he would have started at school learning it, he would not have been interested. As you can see, all the time he was not interested in language. So it's kind of when the interest comes in, this is the moment when the child should study it and not before. And now the difference is also it should study, the child, he or she should study it in their own way. So this is something that we see a lot also in the early childhood curriculum of preschools nowadays, and some primary schools take that on, but in a more systemized approach. We could say that unschooling, if I say schools took it on, unschoolers don't like that when I say that, because unschooling means no school, no classroom setup, nothing that is in any way similar to what school is doing. So this is what we have to understand. So this is a very natural approach where the child can grow naturally. We know, as this system is now going on already since 10, 15 years or even longer, but it became more a trend during the last 10 to 15 years. We know that the children can create a really very good life. They also have a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of content there. They know they are very practical in their approach, very responsible. But we also know is that, for example, you have 12-year-old children who might not yet be able to read and write similar to a child compared at the age of 7 or 8. So this is what's called a natural child project. So if you feel that this is what you think is the best for your child and you as a parent feel it's a really great idea and you want to get in touch with that kind of community, there are a lot of people out there who do that, and we personally know many people here in Austria who are doing that and who are doing a great job in that. So that is one of the models how you as a parent could think about if your child is not going to school, they're staying home and you would like them to go in that. What you have to make sure here is that in many countries, the unschooling system is not accepted. So you have to see the regulations in your country. Like, for example, in some countries, it's like this, that the children are allowed to do unschooling, but at the end of the year, they have to go to end exams. They have to at least do the end exams, where it becomes kind of a challenge to do the unschooling. So in that, we normally find parents who really are willing to take the children out of the system of the school and also are not going to the end exams. That would be when we speak about unschooling. No school, no system, nothing, no methodologies which are used in a schooling system are used here. On the other hand, we have homeschooling. Homeschooling is a model which exists already since a long time. Homeschooling was something that was already done in medieval times. For example, especially the parents from wealthy families, from kingly families, they had private teachers come into house. So actually that was a first kind of homeschooling, which the parents didn't do themselves, but someone from outside came and did that kind of learning, so that there's a special kind of training. The parents always have been involved, what the teacher is teaching the child, and so that had a really very interesting and different way than in the public schools that happen. So that is also, of course, one of the ways you can use homeschooling till today, that you have a teacher coming in. We would call this a flying teachers project. So especially now during this pandemic, it would be a very good idea also maybe for teachers to offer their service to parents. So if they know that they are not connected with any other people and can't contract coronavirus, maybe they can come in for some hours and still see that the children who are not going to school now and struggling might also be able to have some personal interactive learning with a teacher. So that is one of the things. Let's focus a little bit on the topic of homeschooling. So homeschooling is the terminology mainly used in North America. It was born there. In the UK it was called home education, and in some countries it was called out of school education. And this out of school education tells what it is about. It's education, it's study, it's learning outside of the school. And so in that regard, homeschooling normally symbolizes that the child studies from home. It came, as I said already, started all with the parents who have been dissatisfied with schooling systems. Even today, we have parents who live in areas maybe where they have only very conservative schooling systems, and they feel as open-minded people, as global citizens, that their child should grow up in a very open society and not get informed or schooled by a system that's very narrow. So they might decide on homeschooling. But in the homeschooling system, is a very big difference to the unschooling system, because in the homeschooling there is a target. You want the children to know the stuff so that they can go on to higher education. They become professors, doctors, engineers, architects, all of that. So there is a curricula behind. There is a focus on marks and grades in a different way in many families, but still it's there. And then there's also an output, means an outcome the parents are working on with their children. So when it comes to homeschooling, we have parents also who travel a lot. Diplomatic jobs, for example, are constantly moving in different nations, countries. So it's hard for the children every 3 to 4 years to really get into the group, go out again. So parents sometimes prefer homeschooling also because they have a very interactive, very engaging life. That could also be something why you are considering this topic of homeschooling. And of course, you might consider it because you actually at the present moment in this pandemic situation, you might not know when does the school reopen again. No one of us knows, and how will this go on? When will be a vaccination available, and how long will this on, off go on, and how will it impart or make an impact on your child? So you might also consider this because of that. Let's see. In the system of homeschooling, we have a wide variety of teaching methods. So in homeschooling, there are teaching methods used, there are structured schedules, there are targets. So for example, the target is that the child goes to the end exam and they should be able to know the things which they are questions at the end exams. Normally, when homeschooling is done, children can perform easily in the end exams or the exams which they have to take in their country. In that part, the parents are also very much asked to study themselves some teaching methods, because this is what is used during the process of homeschooling. And so there is really a lot out of there on teaching methods. So if parents really want to go into that, there is a really important part they have to study. One, they have to study what is the content the child should know at the end of the year or at the first exam, second exam. So they need to know the books. Normally they order the school books home so that they have it there. Secondly, they should inform themselves about teaching methods available, how to set the schedule, what is realistic and what is not realistic for the children that age. And then they also have to make a decision on what kind of homeschooling they want to have. Do they want to have a very self-responsible homeschooling study of the child, or do they really want to take on the function of a teacher? So I will speak about this in a second, because we'll speak on the TLI homeschooling system, which uses some methods. Please make sure that if you want to know more about that, please like, subscribe, and also press the notification button, because this is something we'll take on step by step. Every week we add something on the topic of homeschooling by parents, and we'll want to help you with that if you're really thinking about it, how to go and what to go, to have kind of a guidance along the way. This is what I would like to offer you in this video. So please also think about whom you can share it, because this is information that maybe be interesting also for other parents or adults. Okay, let's look at the next point. In homeschooling, parents use informal and formal learning styles. So sometimes they really use formal learning styles, like you have a sheet of paper on the left side is one A, and you ask the child to write a line full with all of A's and then B's and then C's, and you do calculating, counting, numbers, letters, all of that together with the children, and you do really kind of study sessions and learning sessions. So that is one way. Informal would be that you tell your child this and this and this are the topics to do. You think about how you want to do it. You still can set a time schedule for the child. In this hour, please see what you can understand from this picture book. See what you can understand from reading this book. Then let's have a discussion and take it forward. So formal, informal can be both there. It's a decision a parent has to make. You can make the decision according to what your child needs, but then also you can make a decision on the basis of what you feel suits best with your educational style, with your personality, and how also it works in your family, with your family schedule. So I told you already that there's a TLI homeschooling program which we put together for people who really think about homeschooling, because we think this time is a very different time that we ever had experienced. You and me never have been in a pandemic situation. And so this might be also a time where we rethink if it's really needed that each and every child goes to a school, or what is the function of a school. Especially, for example, in preschool, I'm very much questioning what is the function of the preschool. And so in that regard also of primary school, it is really a good time to re-evaluate the systems our children are using, and to also think about what kind of systems we put into place in the future. So we have a lot of TLI preschools out there, and we are going on to have them because I think it's a great thing for children to also have socialization with other children. But when it comes to the schooling part, I fully understand if some parents say, no, the next 2 to 3 years, I really don't know how this will be going on. I want to be independent with my child, and I really want to also make sure if there's an on-off in the preschool level, my child can perform. And it's also maybe more natural to you as a parent. Some parents just say, I just can't do that because I don't want to be the teacher and the parent. So I want someone else to do this. So you can think about either getting a flying teacher who can do homeschooling, or you can also think about starting to do a kind of a program with your child and see how it's going. And this is where I come in now to help you along the way. So let's speak about the TLI homeschooling system. We have 3 major points that we focus on when it's coming to the TLI homeschooling system. We have autonomy, that's number 1. We have informal learning, that's number 2. And we have project-wise learning and also team-based learning, which is number 3. So we have 1, autonomy, which means it is very important in the beginning that first you set a structure in which your child can be an autonomous learner. So as much as possible, we want the children to be able to study and learn on their own by themselves. So when we speak about that, we speak especially now about preschooling and primary schooling, because as soon as the children turn older, it's easier for them. But in case of a preschooler or a primary school child, you really have to take them on your hand and help them to understand the autonomy in learning, because till now they might have been in a classroom setup where they got animated by the teacher, where there was a teacher-centered learning approach. So the first thing is set times where you start doing special games, play, study with them, reading books. Make it really a time frame in which that happens, and slowly also see that your child understands this is now the time where study happens. And then still, whatever the child want to do in that hour, let them do whatever they want to do in this hour by themselves, so that they learn to become autonomous, self-responsible. In the second part, when we go back, we spoke about informal learning. So in the system of TLI homeschooling, we prefer the informal learning. Informal learning in that case means that it's not a subject-wise learning. We, for example, with the preschooler, don't want to speak about words, intonation, and all of this in one lesson, and then in another lesson something else. We'd like to connect all of that. So when we speak about how many apples you can see and all of that, you have language, you have counting, you have colors. So we want to make it a complete holistic educational approach where the child also can decide on what is today the interesting part to learn. And so from all the available things, he she can choose by her himself. So this is something that's very important for us, because we also believe, like the unschooler, so you see it's TLI homeschooling is kind of in between of these two, but when it comes to the unschooling, the naturalistic child approach, we understand always works the best because the child's interest will be there. The child will have its highest interest exactly in that area, and so this is why we prefer that one. So that is something, please keep in mind that the child should choose the activity, but you know what at the end of the year the child should be able to know. There might be some points that children do not want to study themselves. This is when methodology especially comes in, and we are going to project-wise learning or theme-wise learning. So you can set an impulse, we call it in TLI pedagogics. You have an impulse in which the child can start by your impulse. For example, you have a very interesting story about multiplication. A child doesn't like to do multiplications. You know it needs to be done, so you create some kind of project around it. For example, also how big is the garden, how big is this room, how big is the, how tall is the chair, all of these kind of things you might have as projects where your child becomes an architect, starts measuring things, has to multiply things. Or, for example, if you know your child is very interested in cooking, you allow your child to become the cook, and they have to multiply how many people, how many apples, how many of this for the cake, the fruit cake we need, so that it really becomes enough for all of them. So you can put it in projects. So this is also something I like to give you in this first idea. So keep in mind, there is a decision that you have to make at any point of your life when you go in that direction. If you're unhappy with the school system, or if you say you want to complement the school system, or you prefer your child is meeting with children, especially for socialization, but not for schooling, then you have the possibility to go in the direction of unschooling, you have the possibility to go in the direction of homeschooling, or as we would love it the best is you use the middle path, you use the middle way, you bring the two together, and you go in what we call the TLI homeschooling program. I hope I was able to give you some ideas on all of that, and I hope you can take something out of this video. If so, please be so kind, share this video with all people you think could be interested. Please don't forget to press the notification button and the subscribe button so that you get automatically informed when we upload something. Our target is to upload once a week so that we can actually take you along step by step. So out of this workshop, I would think that the best is to really start to set a time with a child, which is the study, learning, playtime, however you call it, and in this time frame that will be now the beginning of your schooling environment at home. Whatever you do, however you do it, if you use an approach of unschooling or homeschooling, it's always good to have a schedule. So in that regard, when we go to the idea of TLI homeschooling, we make this schedule, that's the beginning, and we see that in this time frame, if it's a 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour in the beginning, your child is really able to play, learn, study by him or herself. So that would be the first step that you could, if you want, try to put into place, and maybe it gives you also some structure and some help with all of the things around that are happening at the present moment. Okay, please share this video. Please also like it. Please write in a comment if you have any questions that we can give or answer to you. And also please do not forget to leave a comment and let us know if this was clear to you, if you were able to understand the content, if it also helped you to understand better the difference between homeschooling and unschooling, and if there's anything that you want to share with us. Please give us your comments. Maybe you are already homeschooling or unschooling and you have a lot of experience and you would like to share with other parents what is good. Leave it in the comments. Do not forget, your comment is important. You are important. I wish you a very good day and I'm so much looking forward to see you in the next video again.